So yeah, my other concept was I can't speak at the moment, was continuing through dysfunction. There it is. Get it out in the end. And a lot of the time people are really dysfunctional, I notice, and the world is dysfunctional at general. But you got to think, like, I think a lot of times, and it definitely goes with the Pisces to Aquarius complex situation that's going on at the moment, astrologically, where in Pisces we look elsewhere outside of ourselves, and in Aquarius we look to ourselves. And I think it's so easy when you go through life crisis. I think when, like, as you get like older and you go into adulthood, or I think life crisis can happen as a child. We all have life crises at different times in life, but I think when you go through like an actual life crisis and a real bad situation, yeah, it's easy to be like more aware that that is the way that life can go. But I think sometimes it's hard to make space for other people's doing that. Not that to say that it would affect you in the same way, unless that person is really close to you, and in which case you might have like your own issue within that. But like going through the world, I'm noticing like a lot of people have a lot of life crises like through the world. And when I just saw 111 as an angel number, by the way. What does 111 mean? I think it just means like live life, as far as I know, and carry on, keep calm, carry on. But when people have life crisis, you know, it's really easy to, like, especially when you're involved in it, it can actually, people's actions passively can harm your soul, and they can make you feel angry, and they can make you feel a fuck ton of ways. Many people like to evoke this reaction in you, aka energy vampires, but I think it's one of those things where you have to literally prioritize yourself. You have to prioritize your own goals, because realistically, I think for anyone, and I think this is a general rule of life, if you're winning, you're winning. Like, if you're winning, you're winning for yourself. There's that complex of like, when people say like you are your only judge at the end of the day. If you choose to like live under God or what other religious or spiritual combinations that resonate with you, cool. But realistically, we are all our own judge. Like, we can't judge, we can judge each other, yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't control that. You can't control a person. And in that, you've got that sense that claiming your own life and claiming your own right to your life, and being like, I can only achieve what I want to achieve. Someone else losing or someone else doing things that are delusional doesn't affect me at all. Obviously it can do, but I think within that, this is what I'm trying to say, and this is where I'm truly adulting here. And I think as a traumatized individual that has like childhood trauma as well, I feel like there's a sense where like inner child or whatever is in this belief system of like, if I accept another person's dysfunction, I'm justifying it. And that is just not the truth, because I suppose it comes down to, when you're healing from childhood trauma, being like, I'm healing the trauma that I did not inflict upon myself. We all have that moral obligation that we all have to heal from experiences we did not inflict upon ourselves. And I think when it comes down to every day, even if it's not like overtly right in your face, just the shit that people put you through, you know, inevitably, like, if you don't heal from that, it's your own, well, it's basically your own moral obligation to do so, in my experience. And it's like, you're only harming yourself to a point. And I feel like we all, some people are stubborn and some people aren't. I would consider myself relatively a 9.5 on the stubborn level, if not higher. And I think when it comes to my emotions, and I feel like I'm very used to brewing in my own emotions because it helps me process them. That, or whether I just felt the need to do that as a child. I was a very sulky child possibly, but I think I still would swing to the stubborn end of the spectrum, to be honest, even if, you know, I didn't have that childhood complex. But what I'm seeing is like, emotionally, to process situations is so important, because, and even if like obviously it's not really your doing, to which, you know, you are traumatized or stressed, like, if you don't integrate the now, you know, you're not justifying it, you are accepting what is, and you are moving in sense and processing things justifiably as a human being. And it doesn't mean you have to, like, if anything, it's sending a submission to the universe to say, I don't agree with this situation. And in the power of manifestation, submitting your belief system to the universe is so powerful. And like, you know, standing on your belief system, because I was literally saying this today, that like um if you are standing on you know, ill knowledge and knowledge that is nonsensical, you will fall through the cracks of nonsense, basically. Yes, we all have our own levels, but at the same time, fact is fact, and a lot of people will live in delusion for no other reason apart from they choose to live in delusion, and they think it's fun or whatever, or they like to mislead people and they like to cause chaos. But at the end of the day, for the sense of the individual, especially of those of us that don't have personality issues, to stand on truth is essential, if you ask me. And you're not going to find, you know, with anyone, I've noticed, no matter how insufferable a person is, and how difficult and challenging you find them, if they are truthful, even, you know, it's not nice to be insulted, and I'm not using that as an example, but if you're talking about a factual conversation with someone that's unsufferable, you know, where you're just basing, you know, information on that, it's a tolerable interaction potentially. You know, you can make conversation, and I feel like I noticed this in the world. You may not want to share space with another human being, but sometimes it is necessary to be able to conduct yourself amongst people that are completely insufferable. I don't think it's worth prioritising these people, and if you can cut them off, brilliant. If you can limit interaction with them or not have interaction, I'm not saying, oh, just deal with loads of insufferable people. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, in a shop, yeah, where like someone's insufferable and you have to just like deal with them and you have to just go through your day. It's exactly the same, I think, in other aspects of life, where you just like coming across people that's just absolutely down the wrong end of the spectrum. Do you know what I mean? Wrong ends, wrong eggs, bad eggs. You know, and you just have to, I wouldn't say grin and bear it, but I think it's okay to make a judgment, sit with yourself, allow yourself to process whatever you need to process, and still conduct yourself. And you're not going to explode, you're not going to implode by dealing with people that are wrong, because it doesn't make you wrong by dealing with them. Just by processing what it was that is upsetting you about them does not make you wrong. It doesn't make you accept their dysfunction. It just means they're going through something and they may not be unknowing about what they're doing wrong. A lot of people, again, I'm not going to really go into narcissism, but I've spoken about this before, a lot of people don't have the sense and the mindset to actually have self-accountability. They won't come to the conclusion that's morally correct in the eyes of the healthy a lot of the time, and that's one thing. And it goes very well, I think, with dealing with all that stuff, and people with personality issues at the same time, to think, you know, I'm going to process my emotions, feel exactly how I feel, respect exactly how I'm designed and how exactly I'm made, and still continue on anyway. You don't have to argue with someone's delusion either. You don't have to justify your own mindset. And I think sometimes living in quiet and living in peace is actually way more useful and way more powerful than shouting at the top of your lungs a load of delusion that no one gives a fuck about. I've mentioned this many times before on many shorts and stuff like that. Living in peace and quiet is a lot more admirable, and it's a lot more peaceful, it's a lot less effort than people that are really struggling with life and should not really be shouting and screaming bloody murder for no reason. If an energy vampire is going to shout and scream bloody murder, ignore them. I feel like this is the power of community and the power in human beings in general. It is very much like, I think about like Sims, where like a sim is like the game Sims, where like a person like starts a fire and someone across the street like looks over, sees the fire and just carries on. Do you know what I mean? Like that can work in a really negative way, and I've always hated that because of like having trauma in life and feeling like I've needed help and like people haven't actually been there to help me. But there's actually a strength in that, to be like, when someone is annoying or if someone is out of line and out of order and they're unwilling to see the error of their ways, to simply carry on is actually very powerful, and it's actually very effective in in bypassing that situation. It's not necessary to acknowledge everyone's dysfunction. It is not for you to fix other people's dysfunction, but you will inevitably pass it, and I think it is just a human skill of life to be able to navigate it effectively. So this is why I do this video. I don't think there's much more else to say than that. Like, it's okay to have feelings about things, and it's okay to feel triggered by things, and it's okay to notice both, because this is what I've noticed recently. I feel like I've been triggered in a way where I'm like, oh, this is why I don't like this situation, but equally it's okay to dislike the situation because I've seen it or experienced it elsewhere, notice that, but also feel a certain way about another situation and still move forward with my own good moral standpoint and be in alignment with myself, and not feel that I have to fold to delusion, and not feel that I have to break my own peace to acknowledge another person's dysfunction and accommodate another person's dysfunction. I don't have to accommodate another person's dysfunction if I'm accepting it myself. If I accept you, you know, I don't really want to go into too much more detail than that, because we could probably just all digress into dysfunction ourselves and ramble, and you know, and you know, not worth it. But I'm just gonna end the video there. But thanks for listening.